Well, I thought he was going to do an album at one time, wasn't he, or something?
I don't know. You know, I don't. But anyway, yeah, he co-wrote. What it was, a friend of mine had come up with this title called Midnight at the Lost. He said, I got a great title for something, Midnight at the Lost and Found. And he says, I'm going to write this piece of, he's a poet, and we play baseball together. So he said, Midnight at the Lost and Found. I said, oh, that's a cool title. That's a great title for something. He says, yeah, I'm going to write it. So I had the title, and I told Tom Dowd, the producer, I said, I got this title called Midnight at the Lost and Found. Tom said, that's a good title. So Danny Parnell came out to the house, and we were working through some of his stuff, you know. And I really liked a lot of his stuff. And then he said, what are you working on? So I said, I'm trying to come up with something on Midnight at the Lost and Found. So he said, well, I'll go try. So I had myself and this other guy, and then Danny Parnell, all working on the same song, Midnight at the Lost and Found. They were all totally different, right?
Right.
So what I did was I took some of Danny Parnell's, some of this guy named Paul Christie, some of mine, and I put them all together, lyric-wise, and I went to my bass player, Steve Buslow, and said, all right, here we go. So Danny came up with an idea about music, but then I changed all the chords around and changed you know, he sort of had in a Bo Diddley kind of theme, and we took it into a Scottish, it's really a Scottish Virginia reel. That's what because it's very elongated, it's very sort of Southern Virginia, but we put in that bagpipe Scottish kind of drone through the whole thing, you know. And so that's what came out of it. And we put in the drums. And the only thing that bugs me is that Max Weinberg, and I didn't catch it until we were mixing it, played these cymbals in the beginning, and the cymbals keep going. And I tried everything in the world to get them out, and I couldn't get them out. But other than that, I like it. It drives me crazy every time it starts.
I noticed a lot of the songs had you know, multi-credits. They're all sort of,
yeah,
at least 2 or 3 people have written them.
Yeah, well, what it is like I did the same thing with a lot of pieces. See, I did. In other words, what I do, like, well, for example, Razor's Edge. I did the chorus and the bridges, and I used this friend of mine because he was a poet, and I used some of his things in the verses. And then what happened was Steve Buslow came and wrote the music, and then my guitar player came in and said, why don't we do this, and rewrote the bridge. So all I was doing, where most people who write like that won't give the guitar player a piece of the writing credit, you know. I mean, like studio musicians come in and they change things, and they don't get writer's credit. But since Mark Doyle is in the band, and Steve's in the band, so I said, okay, fine. I mean, I don't care. It's no big thing to me, you know. He came in, Mark Doyle came in like on Razor's Edge and said, why don't we do this into the bridge? And he wrote the chords to the bridge and wrote those stops into the bridge and then wrote on into the next chorus, you know. But most everything, with the exception of like Priscilla, which we didn't write but really arranged, Tom Dowd and I really put it together. I mean, it was totally different. It was we changed it and put it into ska, which is like a reggae, only it's ska, you know. But most everything else was like really under my guidance. In other words, it wasn't just given to me and said, okay, let's go. I mean, I would rewrite constantly. In fact, some of the songs that were even given to me, we rewrote. Like, Don't Look at Me Like That, we rewrote the choruses on it. It doesn't say I rewrote the choruses, but Tom and I said, well, we don't like these choruses, so, you know, we redid the choruses. And, Bob, what are you doing?
Huh? I'm sorry. Is my wallet in here?
I don't think so, Bob.
Isn't that it?
No. Did I leave it in the car? Oh, no, I have a lot of money in it. Sorry.
That's okay.
If I find it, I won't tell you.
So anyway, the only thing that, and even Fallen Angel, which was written by Dick Wagner, I've been writing with Dick. I wrote a song with Dick called Frontline Warrior, which will never appear anywhere because it was like the first thing that I started to write. In other words, I started writing for this record over a year ago. I mean, I wrote tons of songs, like, a song called Christine and Lost Love and Orders from My Heart and I mean, song after song after song that just is because I hadn't written songs in a long time, so I got back into it. So Wagner and I wrote a song called Frontline Warrior, and in that period of time when I was working with Dick, he came up with Fallen Angel, and he said, I got a song that's great for you. And so, I did Fallen Angel, but it was all sort of, I worked with all these people that are on there, with the exception of the one "Don't Look at Me Like That." And I don't even know who wrote that one. It was like Tom Dowd found it and said, "Look, this could be good," and I didn't like it. And then we changed it into a duet, and we made it build, and let Gary Rossington from Leonard Skinner and Rick Derringer play dueling guitars on it. And I really like it. I hated it forever, and then I really liked it because it really was real powerful at the end.
Why did you do the Chuck Berry song?
Because, I'll tell you why. Because I'd been doing it for so long, and it was like when we did the track, everybody said, let's do the track of Promised Land. And so we said, okay. So we did the track, and then 4 or 5 of us all went into the studio and did the vocal all at one time. And so then we just let it go. It just went away, right? And it came down to we had all these songs, and there was 2 songs. We cut like 17 tracks, but we had 13 when we were gonna figure out what was going on the record. And we had 9 songs which were going on the record, and we had the order of the record. Only it wasn't flowing right. And so somebody called me up and said, look, we did Promised Land, and it was real good. Why don't you put it on? And I said, I don't know, Promised Land, I don't know. They said, but you do it live, and it's become like your kind of trademark. Every place you go, you do this song. You do it on television, you do it here, you do it live. So we went back in, and I listened to it, and it's only 2 minutes and 44 seconds long, and I put it on the end of side 1, and I really liked it. Because it's like, to me, it goes with this, because Midnight at the Lost and Found is really the story of all these people. In other words, when we got it, Midnight at the Lost and Found was the first thing we really came up with. And so inside, if you have a place called Midnight at the Lost and Found, there's if you're in that bar, all these people are in that bar that are in this song. Like the first guy, this Razor's Edge, has had this nervous breakdown and he's coming back into life. Midnight at the Lost and Found it starts off with these 2 guys in this bar about 9 o'clock, and they got nothing else to do. And then you go into this guy who's had the world taken away from him after, doing whatever he did, and Wolf at Your Door, and he's in there. And then you got this guy who'd been in the bar and keep driving all night long, and finally left it, and he couldn't go anywhere. And so he's now 4 o'clock in the morning, he's out riding around in his taxi. And then I said to myself, Promised Land. See, I always looked at Promised Land in a similar light, only, it's a totally different song on another side of the world, as Bat. Because Bat Out of Hell is the story of a kid who is telling someone what's going to happen to him if this girl doesn't come with him. To me, Promised Land is a song of what a guy is saying. He didn't actually take this trip. This is his imagination of what would happen to him on that trip. So this guy, to me, is sitting in this bar, and he's telling everyone, well, I'm leaving here, man. And I'll tell you what, and he's telling the story about I can see it all happening. So Promised Land, to me, is like, has become such a part of me, and it really bugged me for a while that it was on there, to tell you the truth. Because I didn't write it, or because, it was, and I figured everybody would go, well, why did you do this? And then I said, but it works. It really works there on the end of side 1. And then you cross over, you got then side 2, you got all these characters. Priscilla is this character that's like 15 years old, but wears this makeup, that makes her look like she's about 23 or 24 and goes into these, you know what I'm saying? You know those models that you see that are like 12, 13 years old? They make them up, you think they're 25 years old.
Like
Priscilla,
Brooke Shields.
yeah, like Brooke Shields. Priscilla is one of those, you know, and she's very, very wild and never too sure about the girls. You know, this guy doesn't know what to do with this, you know, and it's like, never too sure about the girl. This guy's in this bar and this bartender, if you were to shoot the video of the whole record, it would all start and take place inside this. I have Midnight at the Lost and Found down to a science. Because Don't Look at Me Like That takes place when the Midnight at the Lost and Found was originally a bar. This nobody will ever get this out of their record. And the only way anybody will ever get it is to ask me the question and read my mind on it. Because Midnight at the Lost and Found was originally a bar that opened like the Club 21 in 1930 in the Deco period. And so if you saw the actual bar, because I had this down for a video, if you saw the actual bar, it's very Deco-ish, only it's gone through its psychedelic period and it's changed names, and it's gone through this period and it's changed names, and it went through its punk period, it went through the new wave period, now it's just back to basic kind of rock and roll. But it's sort of like Tracks now, you know, if you've ever been to Tracks here in the United States, you know, and in New York. And then Don't Look at Me Like That, I always saw as a song of the past. In other words, it would have been taken place many years ago. And then you get into If You Really Want To, and some guy's trying to pick up some girl in the bar is the only thing I can tell you, and this girl says, leave me alone. And then Fallen Angel is just a guy sitting in a corner. So that's what I really based all this on, and when we were discussing the record, I said, okay, these songs are all about these people that sit inside this bar and the stories that they tell about their lives inside this one bar. So that's why I called it Midnight at the Lost and Found, and that's what it is.
Do you always...
Yeah, I have to. I know what you were going to say.
What, think of records as a whole story?
Yeah, I have to, and I have to think of them as characters. You know, it's like I have stories for every record. You know, I have absolute this Bad Out of Hell and this thing that this one combines to me the same way that Bad does. The only difference is that Bad had, like in Bad Out of Hell, it was a 10-minute song, so there was like 3 different kinds of varieties inside that one song. Well, here you got 3 different songs that are all the same kind of varieties. You know what I mean? As opposed to, because at a point in life, especially in my life, a long 10-minute song becomes cliche to me. It becomes old hat. It becomes, you know, it's like I don't comprehend it. Midnight at the Lost and Found, the song itself, has as many changes in it to me as, like, you know, Paradise, only it's condensed, you know, and it's like, so, you know, that's, yeah, and I always have stories. I have to go into a record with story, and I had to tell Tom that, you know, Tom Dowd that. I mean, this is like one of Tom Dowd's biggest productions he's ever done. You know, it's not as produced as some of the others, but for Tom, it's real big, you know.
Was it a lot different working with him than it was with Todd Rundgren?
It was, not that it was bad working with Todd Rundgren, but it was heaven working with Tom Dowd, because I did the vocals without ever knowing I was doing them. I would go in to lay down, he'd say, let's put down a reference vocal, and I'd go in and I'd start to sing, and he'd say, well, let's do this, and I'd come back and it'd be over. And next, I'd leave, and then they'd work Tom Edmonds and Tom Dowd, the engineer, and they'd work, and they'd bring me home and take me and say, well, here's your vocal, how you like it? I'm going, I didn't do it. And they go, yeah, there it is.
Oh, you just used the guide vocals all the time then? So.
Well, they were just like bluffing me out.
Right, and just
because
they knew not telling you this is it. Sort of
yeah,
thing,
because I would get real uptight inside the studio. So it's like I did a guide vocal on "Don't Look at Me Like That" for the girl Dale Krantz from Russington Collins band. That came in, and I did the guide vocal. Most of the guide vocal is the vocal that I sing the choruses with her, but the beginning is what I did for her on the thing. It's because he got me real relaxed, so that I felt very free, you know. And it was like,
it's like when they make a movie and they don't tell the starlet, they say this is just a run through or something.
Well, yeah, sort of, but I mean, I knew I was being taped. It's not like, you know, you're not going on tape, but it was like I was able to really give the performance that way, you know, because I always get real uptight in the studio. And then it became so easy, like we changed Keep Driving. I always really liked it, and we changed the end of it. I made them edit it different. In other words, we changed the arrangement near the end. And so I wanted to sing another verse, but I wanted to go real high. And so I had my confidence back so much that once we did it, I walked into the studio, and that whole tag on Keep Driving is just one pass out. It's just like most of Never Too Sure About the Girls is just sing one time. I went right through it, and that's it. The ones that I really worked on Midnight Lost and Found to death, because that was going to be the name, and that was the one that drove me crazy. But everything else, it was like always before I really knew I was doing vocals, and I knew I was like doing it. And it's like this is some of the best singing I've ever done on the record. And I mean, Bat was real good, but in a sense, Bat was very technical because we worked on it for such a long time. In other words, a very long period of time that we spent trying to get this line right and that line right and this line right. Where was very free, and like the pitch is really good on this thing. And I mean, it's very, there's a lot of expression inside, like Never Too Sure. I mean, I never sing in falsetto in my life, and then I'm Never Too Sure About the Girls, I'm singing in a falsetto that sounds real funny, I mean, so, it was like really, I was able to really express myself with this one.
It seems surprising that you'd pick, I mean, Tom Dowd's previous, it's always very low-key productions he does, like Eric Clapton and things. It
Yeah, well, he did
nice, but there's nothing elaborate in it, it's always very nice and quiet. And
yeah.
So I just wouldn't have thought he was the kind of guy you would have. I wonder how you picked him,
Well, I met with him, and I really got along well with him. And he understood about how I felt about songs, I mean, we went through hundreds of songs, I mean, I went through songs a lot of people had written, and it's like we took a break, and we wrote in that break, we went through all these songs, and then when we came down to start the record, we did for like 3 weeks, and we cut 5 tracks, and I think we cut Fallen Angel, and we cut Midnight, The Lost and Found, but because Midnight was written like real fast, just on the spur of the moment. And we cut a couple others that didn't go, and then we hit Midnight, and I said, okay, this is it. Now we got to fit. This is the song. Everybody agreed. This is the track that everything else has to fit around. So then we stopped, and he went away and did Eric Clapton, and I got the band together, and everybody in that period of time, Wolf came out, and Razor's Edge came out, Never Too Sure About the Girls, Priscilla. I mean, most of the record came about in like a 6-7 week period, and it was a constant turnover of people in my house, I mean, every day somebody was coming to work on the piano and stuff. And so we put them all together, and I kept explaining to everybody, like I'd talk to them on the phone, I'd say, okay, now this person is inside this place, this bar, the Lost and Found. So, we're trying to do this, we're trying to tell these stories of these characters inside there. So, it's like it maintained the same kind of thing that Steinman, it's not Steinman songs, but it maintained the same kind of thing because they're all based on certain characters and certain emotions and certain feelings from inside these characters, So, I mean, that, to me, there's, I don't know what a Steinman record would do, I mean, I don't know what this Steinman record would sound like. So, I mean, I know what this one sounds like. I really like listening to this one.
A while ago, Jim told me that he'd met you for the first time in a year or something like that. I mean, but he didn't indicate. I mean, are you still friends, or
yeah? I mean, I'm
falling
friends
out?
with him. No. I'm not angry with Jim, and I mean, there's a law. There's lawsuits, but it's victims of circumstances that these things are about. I mean, Jim has told me and told other people that he wants to work on the next record with us. And that's fine.
I mean, why did it come that you're not what? I mean, could you explain it a little, just so the readers can understand?
It just came that he went off and did it Bad for Good, and that's what he wanted to do, and he wanted to be an artist. And I did Dead Ringer, and then he didn't want to tour, so I toured by myself, and then it came about that But he didn't call me. I mean, I called him for a long time and he didn't call me back. So I just went ahead and worked on my own, you know. And then he started to call me again, and then he sent me wine and flowers, and he sent Lester tons of flowers, sent the kids toys and wine and all this stuff. And then we had meetings, and you know, it was just it was never there was never any angry words that says, you know, oh, you know, fuck you, or, you know, whatever. There was never any of that. It just was like, okay, it was just like this parting, and, you know, I I think there's a future to, you know, back together, you know, but I think that sometimes people just have to get away from each other and do things on their own, you know.
What are the lawsuits about? You know, in a very simple.
Well, it just basically, you know, I fired a manager, you know, and because of I don't want to get into the reasons why, okay? It just was not the right thing. What was going on was not the right thing for me to be involved in. Everybody told me not to do it. Everybody said, "Oh, it's a big legal problem. You're in a big mess when you do it." I just signed. He just sold part of my contract to another person. And
Who was the manager?
David Sonnenberg and a guy named Al Dalantosh. And
Right,
I can just tell you this about the guy named Al Dalantosh. He's right now in jail for trying to sell 3.5 kilos of pure heroin. So, I mean, that gives you an insight of why I wanted to get out.
Is he the guy they sold the bit of your contract to?
Yes.
Right.
Now, I mean, you know,
Sounds like Dynasty or something.
reading between the lines, you know why I wanted to go. So, it was wrong. The whole situation was wrong. So I left. It was so wrong that in America, I mean, there was so much trouble. They basically just put dead ringer and went in America. Just the record company just like pulled it and said, we're not going to work on this record because it was so crazy here. And luckily, overseas, these people didn't have a chance to get over to England or anywhere else and start dealing and screwing with people's heads. And so then I left them, and it's been a big thing for the last year and a half, and it has yet to be settled. And I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees in the last year trying to get things settled. And in the process, I think Jim was advised to drop a lawsuit just for things, and then it made me mad because I couldn't believe Jim was throwing a lawsuit at me. And the only reason Jim threw one at me was because somebody told him to. Because Jim is an artist, and Jim didn't come up with it on his own. Jim was producing Bonnie Tyler when it all went down, and I know that he wasn't sitting in the studio while he's producing Bonnie Tyler. I know Jim thinking about, oh, how can I do this? Right. So I mean, it was like it came down like that. And I don't, you know, I understand where it came from, so it doesn't. I'm not angry at Jim. And what it's done is people refused to settle, and they wanted like this lawsuits are like $35 million or something, or more than that. And so, you know, if I went to fight it in court, I'd be fighting for the next 3 or 4 years, and then some judge might say, well, you're a nice kid, I'll let you off for $5 million. And I mean, I'm in the rock and roll business, and you can make a good living. But unless, I mean, the Rolling Stones would be hard pressed to, pay somebody $5 million.
Right.
I mean, the Beatles may, and McCartney probably could do it, but I mean, he owns all of Buddy Holly's publishing and all this stuff. I mean, it's endless, McCartney. But the average rock and roll guy, $5 million is like, holy, wow.
And what was the bit? I mean, I don't want to be too prying about it. What was the basis of Jim's thing they told him to sue you for? What is that about?
Well, see, somebody else. I had a lawsuit against a publishing company, and my publishing company, they refused to pay my publishing company. My publishing company owed Jim, and so I hired the best lawyers in town to go fight these people. His name is Peter Parcher, who they called the. I forgot what they call him, but they call him this real ominous name. It's like the killer or something.
Right.
And I hired this guy, and he's really expensive. But I hired him because we were wrong, and my contract with Jim said I was supposed to pay him, certain time, and I couldn't pay him because these guys weren't paying me. And that all came about because both our still manages Jim, I think. I don't really know. I don't know what the situation is there. But he put a freeze on everything, and when he put a freeze on all the money that could ever come in, I couldn't pay Jim anyway because our manager had a thing. I mean, it was a total. Jim and I were victims inside this thing. In fact, you know.
It's always the guys that do the work that are the victims.
Huh?
It's always the guys that do all the work that end up being, the
Yeah.
guy that get hammered for it,
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a line in Wolf at Your Door, you know, that I wrote about sort of the, you know, you're not guilty, you are the victim, but you still pay for the crime. Don't look for trouble, you'll always find it in time. I mean, Wolf at Your Door is basically written about this whole kind of situation, you know. And my wife and I wrote that one together because we were in it, you know, full force, you know. It's like that's what that was.
She must have been a big support to you.
Yeah, she has been. You know, she's like hidden because they know I get real upset. Like they came out to my house with the sheriff and put an attachment on my house in Connecticut, and I went crazy. I went up to the sheriff with a baseball bat. I mean, I really just get the fuck out of my house, man. You know, I mean, I really went nuts. And so, you know, they were all trying to calm me down. So they know, you know, and here I am trying to do another record, trying to write, trying to put it together. I'd just come off the tour in Europe, you know, and that was a real kind of, I wanted that tour real bad. That was a real hard tour for me because I knew, I mean, I would get reports from home what was going on over here, like they came out with these cops and tried to take something from my house, and they had no right, and the cops drew guns, and my kids were sitting at the door, you know? And I mean, it's stuff like that. So, I mean, I was getting reports like that back every day, you know? So it's like, I was trying to be a professional and do my tour, you know? But it was inside, I mean, I was really being torn apart by what was going on. So, I mean, I vaguely remember the tour, not because of any reason other than it was just like I was trying to keep my concentration on to that tour through Europe last time. And now we're going back again in September, and you know, I'm going to do more dates, more cities in Great Britain, and I'll do more cities in the Europe regular.
Are you doing Wembley again? Are you doing somewhere smaller? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't have a clue.
Right.
I don't know that. I mean, I just know that we're going to do more cities.
It was a good show though. I went to the
Yeah, I liked them. The only show that I didn't like out of the whole tour, there was one in Brighton where I was real sick, and I had my asthma. I arrived in England in that bad pollen time, and I got asthma. And I had.
I've got that. It's the worst, isn't it?
But I kept having to go on stage and get shots. Nobody knows this.
No, those ones of ephedrine or something that.
Whatever it is, I had 4 shots during the show. I mean, I would walk.
You run fast as well.
I'd walk up the stage and it hit me real fast. I mean, nobody knew what was going on, but that was the only way I didn't keel over. I mean, because I barely breathe in Brighton, and then
it just opens the tubes for a bit.
And then the very last show in Birmingham, it was just I don't know, maybe because it was the last show, or usually the last shows are great. The last show in Birmingham, it was like non-stop confusion. Guitars and amps were breaking, and it was like crazy. You know, that was the only. Everything else went real well, you know, for me. I thought all 4 shows in Wembley I really liked, and I liked you know, the shows like in Edinburgh. Shows in Edinburgh were super.
Scottish audiences are really good.
Well, the 2 I mean, they were really like, and they were, you know. I prefer this. I prefer the proscenium theaters and the little smaller places. You know, for my show. But you know, I mean, I with the amount of tickets we sold for Wembley, I had been in the proscenium stage for about a year. You know what I'm saying? You know,
months of shows or something.
Yeah, you know, and it's like you just, you know.
That's why I always admire theatre people who do a show every night for 6 months. I kind of really
I did. I did a lot of that. You know,
right,
we did 8 shows a week here. I think they do more in England, don't they? Don't they do like 10 or 12 sometimes?
Yeah, they have Saturday matinees and.
Yeah. I mean, they do a lot.
They're not allowed to work Sundays by law or by the union or something, but other than that, they do.
So anyway, what you know? So, but I'm, you know, looking forward to it. Yeah, honey. Oh yeah. Excuse me. She wants clothes. Baby needs clothes. Baby needs clothes.
We've gotten to where we're cutting out the feet of her pajamas she's grown so fast.
How old is she now?
Two.
Two?
Two in January, yeah.
Save some of it.
Oh, I will see.
Okay.
I was good about $70.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. So, yeah. What were you asking me before I got off into this tangent about the tour? You said something about something that I did. How was it? Something. Oh, and then I was saying about, I forgot. I know I was talking about writing songs.
I
In
said
the middle, about the baseball bat, and then I said about I was trying to write songs. So Leslie, you were asking about Leslie.
I said she must have been a big support.
Yeah,
to you,
and
stuff
well,
like
anyway, she was because they hid a lot of things from me because they knew I was trying to work.
Right.
You know, and it's like that's some of the that was some of the grounds for the whole thing. It was like when I was doing. It was like I was trying to do a record and put a tour together, and we were doing videos and everything else. I don't have time to do. It's like now. You go into this business, and you know that somebody's going to rip you off. I mean, when you walk into show business, you just know it. If you don't know it, and what happens is they get into these depositions and things, and they just say nasty things, they're lies, and so there's not much you can do about them. Anyway, that's enough of that.
Right. I had to ask, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, but you said it costs you a lot of money. I mean,
Well, we went into I don't know if you know, we went into a Chapter 11 bankruptcy in this country, which stops them. Nobody else can sue me anymore, and nobody can call me on the phone, and nobody can bug me because they have to go through court.
Right.
And it makes them, forces them to either settle or, okay, then I sell my house and whatever, and then we pay them off. It either forces them to come and I get to keep everything, and forces them to sit down and finally settle with me reasonably,
Right.
And not try to, take me for the next. I can't. Some people were offering settlements. I mean, I would have worked for nothing for 10 years, even to try to get it anything, So I mean, I'm not complaining because I'm happy. I mean, it's not that I'm unhappy. Because I got the record and I did it and I'm singing and I'm looking forward to touring and I know what I can do. So I mean, in that sense, I'm not complaining about the whole thing. It's part of show business.
I mean, you still have enough money to eat and things.
Yeah, we eat. Although I've lost about 30 pounds, so
you do look really,
Yeah, I lost about 30 pounds.
Noticeable.
So
you must feel a lot healthier just when you lose any.
No,
you don't.
I don't, because I don't eat that much, and I've been really working out. Doing exercises and stuff. Huh?
But you go to the gym and everything.
No. But I have a steam room in my house, and so I turn the steam on. And it makes me. And I do exercises in the steam room, and you come out and you're almost gonna pass out. You're in there doing all this stuff in the steam room, and
it's good for your asthma, the steam, isn't it?
Yeah. So, because I really want to be really strong when we hit the road. That's real important. I really want to be real strong for this. So, that's what I'm doing.
Musically, the record sounds a very different style, though. Just the sound of it. I think it sounds it's less operatic,
Yeah, probably.
It seems more like a guitar record,
Yeah, well, I like guitars. I mean, thanks. I mean, it is more of a guitar. It is guitars. I mean, it's a lot of guitars. It's not as operatic because Jim writes operatic stuff, so you're not gonna. That's what he does. I mean, that's his influence. So, but the thing is it's like it's sung with the same kind of emotions as before. To me, I don't know. It sounds like me. It feels like me. Like I said, it's.
Is it technically easier for your voice? I remember you said his songs were very difficult to get used to.
Oh, you hear some of the stuff, I wound up killing myself. I mean, I wound up hitting higher notes than I ever did on the other two, and wound up doing stuff on this record, pushing myself to the limit, much more than it was ever pushed. The only difference is like Bat Out of Hell is very difficult because of its length. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's the difficulty in a song like that, you know. But the songs like that, you know, it's like, you know, you can talk about Bat Out of Hell. Bat Out of Hell was a classic. Jim could never write another song like Bat Out of Hell. You know what I mean? It's just like Bat Out of Hell was written and gone, and I mean, I think he's made an attempt at it, but he didn't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Hadn't you envisioned, as it were, a sort of long line of a whole career of sequence of things with him that?
With Jimmy?
Yeah, at one point, you know, movies and everything, you know, all this.
Yeah, I mean, he was still talking about Neverland and Peter Pan, and you know, I get messages from him, you know, and stuff. So, I mean, he's still.
He gave me the script. It's a good script, I think.
Yeah.
For a first draft, you know.
Yeah.
Needs some work, but it's good.
So it's like, you know, you know, but you know, we talked. We sit down one night for about 4 hours and talk for a long time. So, you know, but I want to do, you know, I want to do another, you know, I'm already in my mind working on the next record, and this is, this next one I think I really want to be a story, you know, a big, you know, a story. So I mean, I'm working on that thing, because the others have not been, they've had storylines and characters in them, and they sort of run together, but they weren't really a whole complete unit as one story, and I want to do that next time with an overture, and you know, I mean, it's my style it's my style as well as Jimmy's. Right. So, you know, it's like, I mean, because I was dramatic before I met Jimmy, and then Jimmy was dramatic, and you know, I mean, what Tom Dowd did was make it. I guess the reason it's less operatic is because there's less there, and Tom said, "Meat, you can sing." And the other thing, sometimes people didn't understand that you could actually sing on some of the other records, you know. I mean, they don't, but he says, you know, you have a great voice, and I want to make it so that people understand that you can really sing. So that's what he did, you know. Maybe that's why I like it, you know.
How about movies? I mean, the ones you've done so far seem to haven't worked out the way you'd like them to. I wouldn't have thought.
They've worked out fine. I mean, I've gained the experience of doing them. You know, I mean, I don't ever do anything because I think it's going to be a giant. You know, I don't ever think it's going to be Star Wars or you know, Godfather or you know, or E.T. or you know, I do them. It's like I know, you know, Bat Out of Hell. I said, boy, I hope it sells some records. You know, Dead Ringer was the only one that was ever like screwy to me, you know, and it was like, it was difficult because everybody was building it up, and I kept saying, don't do this, guys. I mean, don't do this, you know. Look, work on it. Let's work on the record. Let's do it just like, you know, don't. It's like I've seen people try to remake Saturday Night Fever and fall flat on their face.
Yeah, I mean, Dead Ring could never have lived up to what they were expecting after all that time, you know.
No, it's just, it was not, you know.
Sound of Music 2 or something.
Huh?
You know, it's like, yeah, they were expecting it to be the biggest thing and the best record ever or something.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just like, you know, I don't, you know, I don't know. I mean, I worked really hard on Dead Ringer, so I mean, that was like, there was a lot of sweat and blood in that thing, you know, so. I mean, I was never crazy over a lot of it. I hated Peel Out. So, I mean, and I wanted to get rid of it.
So did I. I couldn't believe that was the first song. I mean, that's really, you know, ho-hum, you know.
I hated that one.
Compared to
I
the
mean,
rest of it.
Oh, yeah, it really was. I mean, Love for Both of Us is a great cut. And I think that's a great song, you know. I think on this record, I think Fallen Angel's a great song, you know. I think Priscilla's really good. I really like Wolf at Your Door. I really like Razor's Edge, you know. You know, they all fall, those like songs like that all fall into what we were doing before, those kind of songs, you know.
Do you have any other ideas for movies that are being offered scripts or anything at the moment?
No, I've been working on like an Agatha Christie murder mystery for about 3 years now, myself. That it's like it's real difficult because it's real hard to tie all the plots together, and because there's 1,000 of them, and it's like really difficult. You know, I want to play this detective that's got 4 televisions sitting in front of him, and on one he's watching Charlie Chan, on the other one he's watching Sherlock Holmes, on the other one he's watching The Thin Man, and on the other one he's watching like Murder on the Orient Express, and he's watching them all, and he's got a dog that looks like The Thin Man, and he's got a wife, and he's got a son that's Oriental, and he's got, you know, like Charlie Chan,
Number one,
and he's got a, you know, it's like he's got all these, you know, he's a combination of every detective, you know. He's got a grandmother like, you know, from, you know, what's her name?
Margaret Ross, I suppose.
Yeah, well, yeah, but, you know, the character in Agatha Christie's,
Yeah.
Miss Marples.
Marples.
You know, and he's got an uncle like, you know, it's like this whole family of detectives, you know, and this kid is like taking.
It sounds like Murder by Death, you know that thing.
Yeah, but it's more it's in kind of it's a more it's not it's a comedy to an extent, but it's more into like Murder on the Orient Express kind of thing, you know, where it's like so many people involved, you know, in killing the guy, and you know, and you got to figure out why. And it takes place. The murderer gets mummified, and he's found 30 years later in a storm, and it goes on and on. I mean, it's like very, and you know, it's like really, really wild.
It sounds good though. Like that's not...
Yeah.
Did you see Blade Runner? I thought that was like a detective.
Blade Runner was great. In fact, Razor's Edge is sort of the video on Razor's Edge is sort of being into the Blade Runner style of things. You know, that's how I'm looking at it, into a Tennessee Williams version of Blade Runner. that's basically how I see Razor's Edge. You know.
Are you touring America as well as England?
Yeah, we're just waiting for it to get out. You know, I'm just sitting. I'm killing time waiting on the record. You know, to come, because it's like, you know, you have to let it get out there and settle in a little bit, you know, before you can go. So you like this record better than Dead Ringer?
Well, as a complete thing, yeah. I mean, like Dead Ringer did some great songs, but it sounded like a lot of tracks.
Yeah.
You know, and like it sounded like half an album or something. You know, and you say, "Oh, that's good," and that's good, and peel out's rubbish, and you know, and it just wasn't like a unified thing. This sounds more like at least like a record. You know? Like it sounds like finished. You know.
Yeah, no, I like this one better than Dead Ringer. You know.
And I didn't like the cover of Dead Ringer being a sort of impersonation
of
Biofilm.
You'll like this cover. This cover's
new, isn't it? It's a picture or something.
Yeah. Well, this record has more similarities to me to Bat Out of Hell than Dead Ringer did. Even though Jim didn't write it, it has a lot of the same similarities to Bat to me because of the different changes and things that we go through, like in Razor's Edge with the different kind of sound of the guitar, and with the backgrounds at the end, and how it varies, because Bat Out of Hell was a very varied kind of album. You know what I mean? It had all the various kind of songs, like The Heaven Can Wait was sitting in there and stuff like that. You know, I don't have a Bat Out of Hell, but I don't think I probably never will have another song like Bat Out of Hell, you know. But that's life.
Well, it's like Springsteen won't have another Born to Run.
No,
it's just the one song.
No, you know, that's it. You'll never have another Born to Run or Jungle Land, you know, those two.
Have you heard the Bonnie Tyler record?
No.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Rick Derringer's really good on it, and Max Weinberg.
Well, that's who's on this one. I mean, it's like, you know, Derringer's playing guitar on this record, and Max is on drums.
I'd never have thought Bonnie Tyler could have sung like that, though, you know. She's like the female Rod Stewart in a very emo way.
Yeah. But that one, I haven't heard that Total Eclipse of the Heart. Is it real good?
Yeah. Someone told me, a guy who's a real fan of yours and a fan of Steinman's, and fans always know more than the writers do. And he rang me up and told me that Total Eclipse of the Heart is the theme music from Small Circle of Friends with words to it. In that movie.
Oh, might very well be, because Steinman steals from himself.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he'll always steal from himself. It is Small Circle of Friends. That's interesting, because Dead Ringer for Love was the TV song of a...
It says in Total Eclipse of the Heart, it says living in a powder keg and giving off sparks. And it says giving off sparks and bad for good or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He rips himself off the whole thing.
Oh yeah, he rips himself off.
I think the way he admits it, he goes, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, he really does, you know.
The best thing on it is her version of Have You Ever Seen the Rain?
That's real good. You've heard the whole record then?
Yeah, it isn't out, it's out on like this month or something. But it's got 90,000 advance orders before. She told me she sold 400 albums in England before, so she's pleased. You know.
Oh, that's great.
She's really enthusiastic.
They probably got a big advance on this one. On Midnight.
Well, she thinks
Yeah.
Still a lot of interest, you know. But it's funny how Dead Ringer, it didn't do that well, and it seemed to kind of, Bar of Hell was in the English chart forever. You know
Still is.
Yeah, it still comes.
38.
Is it 38 still? That's good. But Dead Ringer isn't. It just went. I can't believe that everyone who wants that record in England hasn't got it already. You know, I mean, where are they all coming? The babies must be buying it. You know. Maybe they all get 10 copies or something.
So do you think they'll like this one?
I think so. I hope they work on it. If it, you know.
Oh, they will. They're gonna work on it. You know, they're gonna work on it. You think the people will like this one?
I think so.
Yeah. I like this one. I listen to this a lot. You know, I used to listen to Bad a lot. I never listened to Dead Ringer. That's between me and you and that little thing there. But I never listen to Dead Ringer. It drives me crazy. And I like I can listen to.
I thought Jim's album was more, at least, although he's not a great singer, it was more unified as an album in the end than
Yeah,
Dead
it probably
Ringer was,
was.
you know. And no one bought that either.
No.
Not very many anyway, comparatively.
You know. But Jimmy was working on that one. You know, it's like it just. Dead Ringer was just it was like thrown together. You know, it was real weird because the producers left and Iveen left and Simon was working on his own thing and I was left as a producer and I hated it, you know.
He used to, every week I got to Epic and he'd say, there's a new release date and a new title and a new producer and a new cover. And
it made me crazy. I mean, I never wanted to do it again, so. You know, that was it. But I listened to this thing. I mean, I really like it. It really moves on me. You know, it's like, my favorite things are Razor's Edge and Wolf and Promised Land. I love Promised Land. I love when I laugh. Makes me, every time I laugh. I go, huh? It makes me like laugh. I love Never Too Sure. I love the Never Too Sure. If you notice, I stole from Steinman on Never Too Sure. I don't know if you've got the lyrics yet, but it goes, she calls you up in the middle of the night. She says she's lonesome and alone. You're finally all revved up with some place to go. You knock on the door and nobody's home. So, I took that one. So
you laughed at me, isn't it?
Yeah, finally all revved up with some place to go. And that one, I love Priscilla.
Good title for the article.
What's that?
All revved up with some place to go.
Yeah, all revved up with some place to go. So that, I get off on this one because it's like, Priscilla sounds to me exactly like a Jim Steinman song. You know, it really sounds like a Steinman song to me, only in ska. It's like, but those are his kind of lyrics, and so does Fallen Angel, and so does Razor. Only he would never put in that kind of sort of the Doors kind of jazzy kind of solo. And everybody, they put that solo, and I wasn't in the studio. They thought I was going to hate it. Everybody wouldn't play it for me. I would say, well, let's do they said, well, we got one on here. I go, well, let me hear it. They played for me a month after someone did it. They did it early in the morning before I ever got in. And I said, that's great. Let's think of it. They went, do you like that one? We loved it. I said, yeah, that's great. I like it. I said, it's real kind of different, It is guitar, but I love guitars. So I mean, if you saw Promised Land, you saw them guitars on stage live. You know, I'm a guitar nut. You know. It's got a lot of.
I was quite surprised that you look so happy. I thought I'd come here and you'd be like, right, what the fuck, you know, you'd be in a real bad mood about everything, you know.
I'm real happy. I'm actually very, very happy. I mean, it's like, you know, I'm happy with the record. I'm happy with what, you know, I'm happy that no one can sue me anymore. You know, I'm just looking to go. I'm just wanting to go. I'm ready to do my videos. I mean, I'm saying, as you came in, I'm sitting up there drawing light plots for Michael, going, okay, look, if we can do this, you know. You know, that's what I was doing. I said, Michael, this lighting, let's do this thing, you know. I mean, I'm into doing it, you know. I just want to go.
The Chapter 11 thing must be being let out of school. They can't hit you anymore or something.
Yeah, right. They can't hit you. You know, it's like being in this invisible box. You know, and not, you know, an invisible. You have it like in Star Trek. You know, the shields. You know, the shields. You got shields around you. You know, the force field. You know, so it's like they can't. The only thing they can do to me, you know, is take away the couch. You know, I don't really care. You know, you can always get another couch. You know, I don't really care about those kind of things, like those material things. You know, if somebody hurt my kids, or I couldn't sing, or whatever. I mean, when I couldn't sing, when my voice was, that drove me completely out of my mind. Then I wasn't very happy. You know, and we had no lawsuits and everything else. You know, and everything was fine. But I was nuts. I mean, I was an unhappy person.
You don't still have to see that guy with the hammers and the guy with the unit.
Warren Briggian? Yeah. No, but I should. I mean, the guy really, like, is a genius. I mean, basically his theory, I can tell you what his theory is now. I've actually finally figured it out. It's like an apartment or a house has an electric circuit. And if something goes off inside of it, the electricity won't flow to this lamp. Even though you got a lamp over here, this lamp isn't working, and this may be the lamp you need. And the body, he says the body, it's off. And so what he does is go back in and try to get the tension out of your body and relax you so that you can get back to where you were. And that's basically what he does.
It's like acupuncture there, this chap.
He does things like that. He'll stimulate, like an acupuncture, they'll put needles in certain parts of the body to make other parts react. Well, that's what he does as well. He stimulates through different machines certain parts of the body to make other ones go, you know, and so that's what happened, you know. I mean, that's what I'm saying about this. The vocals on this record, and I think they're really good, took me no time. It's like I'm singing better than when I did on Bad. Because I was, on Bad, anytime I go in the studio, I'd sing flat. I couldn't hear good or something. On this thing, I was never flat. It was like falling off a log. It really was like, hey, great. I mean, I'm singing better than I maybe have ever sang in my life. So that's a reason to be happy to me, you know. Fallen Angel, which is like a Steinman song into the sense of how it travels around melody-wise. Took me 35 minutes to do it. You know, it was like nothing. It was just,
it sounds really relaxed and no straining or anything on it.
Yeah, there's no strain, and it's real relaxing. I'm hitting higher notes than I did on Bad. You know, so and it's real emotional. You know, it's like they were trying to, you know, it was like they captured the moments. You know, it's like an actor. You capture the moments inside of what you're doing, and that's what's on that record is the moments that I had. You know, and instead of it being very rigid. You know, in some places, rigid is very good. I mean, Tom Dowd made me be rigid, like on that song, If You Really Want To. I mean, it was like really by rote, that one. And then they put, you know, I mean, he really wanted the melody exactly. It was like Steinman. That's how Steinman is. Tom Dowd wanted the melody exactly, and he wanted the phrasing exactly like it was supposed. You know, it was by rote. If You Really Want To. That's going to be the first single on E1, I think. That's what they're releasing. You remember that song?
Which
If you really want to. You say, hero.
I've only heard it once. I must admit. I got the tape the day before I left.
Oh.
I brought it with me so I could hear it.
Anyway, that's what they're releasing in England is the single. The one. That's the one Tom thought was a single. I think Priscilla's the single.
I hope they push it anyway.
Huh?
I think they'll put. You know, I like the people in Epic in England. They're good. You know.
They're real good. Judd Landers isn't there. Do you know Judd?
I know him, but I haven't seen. I mean, he doesn't work there anymore. No, I haven't
No.
seen him for that. What's he doing?
I don't know. We called up and tried to find him. We said, Judd, let's talk to Judd.
He's a Liverpudlian guy, isn't he?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened.
Funny guy.
He's probably working for A&M or something.
Something like that. Yeah. He used to be in bands, didn't he? Liverpool band.
Yeah.
Years ago. I think he's.
So did you ask me any silly questions yet?
No, I didn't think so.